Hello, and thank you for purchasing the Split Screen Slider 3 Shopify section by qwiqode. In this video, I'll be showing you how to use it. With this section, you can have multiple text elements such as a title, subtitle, text block, and buttons with a media slider next to it. The text remains in place while the media content moves in the slider. To get started, let's add some media by clicking these blocks on the sidebar. Once you click, you'll see multiple options, and the first one is the media selector. With this, we can select what type of media we want for the block. So when image is selected, you can add an image from this field like this. Okay, but you can also use a video. When you click on a video, you can add a video URL from YouTube or Vimeo, or add your own MP4 video. For example, I can add a local video from a library like that. Next, we have the video poster image field. This is optional in case you want to use an image as a placeholder for the video. For example, we can add an image like this, okay? And once the users click, they will see the video. So you have that option. Next, we have the play icon settings. And the first one is a custom play icon. So this is in case you want to use your own icon. You can select it from here, okay? And next, we have the play icon size. It can be medium, small, large, or extra large like this. And then down here, we have the video settings. And the first one is autoplay video. Right now, we won't see it right away because we have a poster image. So in order to see the video, you'll need to click on the poster image. But if we remove that image from here and we have the autoplay video turned on, we'll see that the video starts playing automatically. Then you have the loop video option. And when this is enabled, at the end of the video will repeat again. So if we disable this option, we'll see that the video will stop at the end of it, like that, okay? But I really like the effect, so I'm gonna keep it on. And then at the end, we have the show controls on video. And when this is enabled, the controls will show up so the users can scroll to your video, okay, or pause it using these controls. But I really like it without them because it looks more seamless, so I'm gonna keep it like that. Okay, now I'll add some more content to the other slides and speed up the process. Now that I added the media elements, let's go back to the section settings to add some text and styling. But before going to the section settings, by default, the section comes with 3 slides, and I added this last one by clicking on Add Slide Media. So you can add as many as you like, okay? But on this example, I'm only using 4, so I'm gonna delete these 2. Okay. Now let's go to the section settings. I will see here that we have a section title, subtitle, and text block. I'm gonna be using this on a fashion store, so maybe we can add something like this. And for the text block, I have something on my clipboard, so I'm gonna paste it. Okay, so all of these fields are actually rich text, so that means that you can change the wrapping. For example, by default, our section title is an H2, but you can select it to be H1, H2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or a regular paragraph. You can also bold the text like this, okay? But on this example, I'm gonna leave it at H2. That works for me. Next, we have the buttons, and the first one is a button label, so we can add something like this. Then on button link, we can add it to a product or to a collection, maybe something like this. And down here we have this toggle, and that's for opening that button link on a new tab or not. But I'm keeping it disabled so the users can go straight away to the product. And next we have a second button, so if you don't want to use it, you can clear this, and that's it. You only have one button, okay? But maybe I can use this one to say view all, and then link it to all products. Okay, next we have the media styling, and the first option is the position. You have it on right by default, but you can also select it to be on the left like this, okay? But on this example, I'm gonna leave it on the right. Next, we have the media dimensions, and by default, it's on original, so whatever the size of the media will be the size of this area, okay? But if you want to change the size, you can select all these sizes. For example, landscape, portrait, square, horizontal, and this is good for horizontal videos, and you can also use vertical. So this size will be applied to all media elements. For example, if I go to the next media element like this, you see that all images are the same size. But maybe on this example, I'm gonna keep it as square because I really like this look. Next, we have the media height, and right now it's auto, so the height comes directly from the dimensions. That means that this text over here can be very long text. For example, if we expand this, we have very long text like this, the media height won't be affected because it will stay within these dimensions, okay? But if we select this to be full, we'll see that the media will expand all the way like this. No matter what size you have in here, if this isn't full, it will always expand, okay? So I'm gonna put this back on auto and remove all this extra text. Okay, so I'm gonna put it back on, actually on square. Okay, cool. Next, we have the media width. And right now it's 50%, but you can make this smaller or make it bigger, okay? But I'm gonna keep it at the center because I really like half and half layout. Then we have the media border radius, which it controls the corners of the media. So right now it's 0, but if you increment this, you'll see that the media starts having a curve on the corners. Then we have the media margin from text, which is this is over here. So right now it's 54, but you can increment this to have even more room between the media and the text. So maybe I'm gonna leave it around here. Okay. Then we have the media styling for mobile, media width, media position. Okay. You can select it to be on the top like this or to be at the bottom. And also we have the media margin from text, which is this distance over here. Okay. Let's go back. Then we have the slider settings. And the first option is to enable the carousel autoplay. So when this is enabled, we can use this carousel speed. So we'll see that the media elements will start autoplaying like this. Next, we have the slider animation, and by default it's fade. But if you select slide, you'll see that the media elements will move horizontally. But I really like the fade effect, so I'm gonna leave it like this. Then we have the slider navigations. You can select dots or you can select to be none. So the media elements just autoplay like that. Okay, but I'm gonna keep it at dots. Then we have the slider settings for mobile. And on mobile, you can select it to be dots or you can also use arrows. Okay, for example, if I select arrows, we'll see the arrows over here, okay? Maybe the media element should be at the top. So that's arrows, and if I select dots, will be like this. Let's go back. And then in here, we have the colors for the dots. So the first one is for the background color of the whole wrapper. So maybe we can add something like this. Then the dots color, we can add something like this. And then we can add a custom color for the active one. So that way the user can know which of the dots is that media element. Then we have the slider dot size. You have small, medium, or large, okay, like this. And then you have the slider dots position. You have bottom left, bottom center, and bottom right, okay? Next, we have the slider dots margin bottom, which is this distance over here. So if you increment this, you'll make more room down here, okay? Next, we have the slider dots margin from edge, and this is only available when using left or right on the dots position. So right now we're using it on the right, so we can add this, and this will add this space on the side, okay? The same on the left side. It will add this margin from the edge, okay? Next, we have the slider dots border radius, and this controls the corners of the wrapper and also the dots. So it will look like this. Next, we have the same for mobile, the slider dots position, top of text or bottom of text, and slider dots horizontal alignment, left, center, or right. Let me show you. Okay, so right now they're top of text and on the left, but you can also select it to be at the center, right, or to have it at the bottom of the text, like this. Let's go back. Then you have the slider dots margin from text and the dots margin from edge, which is also available only when selecting left or right. So if I add this over here, it will shift horizontally. And maybe if I add this to be 0, we'll make this closer to the buttons and the rest of the text. Then we have the slider arrow styling, and this is only available on mobile. And if you select it here to be arrows, you'll see the arrows over here. And the arrows, you can put it at the bottom of text or the top of text, like this. Then you have the arrows margin. This margin is from the text. So if you add this, you'll create more room between the arrows and the text, okay? And then you have the slider arrows margin from edge. So if you increment this, it will bring the arrows closer and closer together. And then we have the arrow colors. So you can add a custom color for the line, like this, and you can add a background color for the wrapper of the arrow, like this. So maybe this can be like that. Okay. Next, we have options for custom arrows. So you can add your own. So you have a field for the left and you also have a field for the right one. This is similar to the play icon. So you just select the arrow from here and it will show up your custom arrow. But on this example, I really like the default one, so I'm gonna leave it like that. Okay, so let's go back to desktop. Next, we have the section styling, and the first option is the section width. By default is full width with a content max width of 1280. So this means that the section will expand all the way, but the content will stay within that size. So if we add a color, you'll see that the section expands all the way and the content stays here. But in case you want to also expand the content, you can turn this on. You'll see that the content is always expanding all the way across your screen. But I really like to have a max width for the content, so I'm gonna disable this and leave it like that. Okay, next we have the section border radius, which it controls the corners of the section. So right now it's 0, but if you increment this, you'll make some curves on the edges. But on this example, I'm gonna leave it at 0. And next we have the top, bottom, and horizontal margins. These are the outside distance from the section. So right now, this top is 20 pixels from the previous section and 20 pixels from the next section. But if you increment this, you're making more room between the sections, okay? Then we have the section horizontal margin. And this is only available when using regular on section width. So if we select regular, you'll see this margin over here. We added this in case you have a regular section width, but you'll see that the section touches the corners. If it's on full screen, you won't see it. But if you're on a smaller screen, you'll see that there's no gap right here. So if you want to create a gap while using the regular width, you can create it using this field. Then we have the section top, bottom, and horizontal padding. And while the margins are the outside distance, the paddings are the inside distance. For example, right now it's top padding of 20. So this content right here is 20 pixels from the edge of the section and 20 pixels from the bottom of the section. So if you want to increment that distance, you can use these fields and it will look like this. Then horizontal is this distance on the inside and this over here. So if we increment this, we'll make more room inside of the section. I'll put this back on full width. Okay, but maybe that's a little too much. So I'm going to reduce it a little bit and keep it at 20. Next, we have the same for mobile, top, bottom, horizontal margins, and top, bottom, and horizontal paddings. Next, we have the styling for the text area. And the first option is the vertical alignment. So right now by default is center, so it's right here, but you can also select it to be at the top or to be at the bottom. But I'm gonna keep it at center. Next we have the section text area horizontal padding. And this is the horizontal distance on this area right here. So right now is 0. But if you increment this, we're making more room inside the text area. But on this example, I'm gonna leave it at 0. Okay, next we have the text alignment. Right now it's left. You can add it to be center or right, okay? But I'm gonna keep it left for now. Then we have the same for mobile, the padding and the text alignment. And down here we have the text styling. And the first one is for the subtitle. The first option is color. So maybe we can add something like this. Then we have this toggle. When this is enabled, you can use any custom font from this list. For example, we can use something like this. Okay, then we have the custom font family name, and this is in case you're loading a custom font on your theme. Let's say you have a Helvetica loading up, so you can add here that custom family name and it will grab that font. Okay, but on this example I'm gonna leave it blank because I want to use this one. Then we have the font weight. So in here you can select how thin your font looks. For example, you can have it like that or more bold, so you will select it from this drop down. Next we have the top and bottom margin. So that's the outside distance. For example, if we want to make more room right here, we will increment this like that. Next, we have the font size. And with this, we can increment this size, okay? Then we have the line height, and that's the vertical distance between characters. For example, if this is 2 lines, let's say we have it like that, okay? So with line height, you control this distance over here, okay? So if you leave it at 0, it will grab your theme's default, but if we increment this, we can adjust that distance. But on this example, I'm gonna leave it at 0 and maybe a little less. Okay, next we have the letter spacing. And the letter spacing is the distance, but it's the horizontal distance between characters. So right now it's 0, so it's the theme's default. But if you increment this, you'll see that we're making more room between the characters. But on this example, I'm gonna leave it at 0. Next we have the same settings for mobile, top and bottom margin, font size, line height, and letter spacing. Then we have the same for the title. So it's color, custom font. So maybe on color we can add something like this. On the custom font, we can use the same. On the font size, you can have it like that. Okay, and maybe make it a little bolder like this. Okay, next we have the same for mobile, top and bottom margin, font size, line height, and letter spacing. Then we have the same for text block, which is this over here. So maybe on color, we can add something like this. Maybe on font size, we can also increment it a little bit. That works for me. We have the same for mobile, margins, font size, line height, and letter spacing. Next, we have the button styling. And the first option is the layout. So right now it's side by side, but you can also select to be stack, okay? But on this example, I'm gonna leave it side by side. Then we have the gap between the buttons. Right now it's 10 pixels. If you want, you can increment this. Then we have the margin margin top, which is this distance over here. So if you want to increment it, you can use this field, and the same for the bottom, and the same for the bottom. Next, we have the horizontal and vertical padding, which is the inside of the button. So on horizontal is this over here from the text to the edge. So if you want to increment it, you can use this field. Then we have the vertical padding, which is this distance over here. So if you want, you can increment it like that. Next, we have the toggle for custom font. So if you toggle it, you can select a font from the list, but I'm gonna keep my themes default, okay? Then we have the same settings as the other text elements, the custom family name, the font weight, the font size, so maybe we can make it a little bigger, okay? And the letter spacing. Next, we have the same settings for mobile, side-by-side or stack, gap between buttons, margin top and margin bottom, horizontal or vertical padding, and the font size. Next, we have the button borders, and the first option is the border radius. So if you want to add a curve to the button, you can do it using this field like that. Then we have the button border width. Right now it's 0, but if you increment this, you'll see that the button border gets bigger. So maybe around 2 looks fine. Okay, next we have the button colors, the text color, which is this one, background color, and the border color. So if you have a border width, you can also do this, which is having the button clear and just use the border outside. And then you can adjust the hover colors, which is when the user puts the mouse over the button. Okay, so maybe on hover, we can do something like this. Okay, I really like how it looks, so I'm gonna save it. And that's it. Thank you again. If you have any questions or if you run into any issues, please don't hesitate to contact us via the support page on our website. Thank you and take care.